Today on CityCast Madison. Kiki is the queen of Madison's underground music scene. That's one of the many raving online reviews about Kiki's House of Righteous Music. Kiki's is a Madison institution you may not know about. Founded by Kiki Schuler, Kiki's has hosted intimate shows for years, featuring local acts and touring musicians in the basement of her Far East Side Madison home. And this Sunday is their 400th show. Ahead of this magical milestone, we sat down with the legend herself, Kiki, to ask about what makes her venue so special and get the word on what's on deck for upcoming shows. It's Wednesday, July 17th. I'm Bianca Martin, and here's what Madison's talking about. Kiki, hello.
Good morning, Bianca.
Good morning. So, Kiki's House of Righteous Music is a DIY institution. Tell us, how's this season and year been so far for shows?
It's been really busy, especially the last few months. I feel like it took a little longer to recover from the COVID shutdown than I would have thought. But definitely this year, things feel completely back to normal.
And how long have you been Kiki's House of Righteous Music?
So I did my first couple shows back in 2005. And then I didn't really get going till 2007. And that was the first show I did that year was the Silos. And it was the first time I ever signed a contract for a show. So they asked for venue name. And I had always kind of joked that when I won the lottery, I was going to open my own venue and call it Kiki's House of Righteous Music. So that's what I filled in. And here we are.
And here we are. And, I think I've seen you say, give shout out to Kathy Detmers and, the High Noon Saloon, which is this really special venue, right? That you can feel intimacy at, but it's pretty big. Your space is so intimate and lovely. I went years ago and I just remember feeling like, holy smokes, I'm in this cherished secret venue that also happens to be super full. But how underground would you describe Kiki's House of Righteous Music?
Well, it's not like it's a big secret at this point. I mean, pretty much anybody who's into music in Madison knows about it. Although I do get people all the time being like, I had no idea this was there. So obviously some people are still finding out about it, but it's not, I don't really advertise. I have an email list and that's how most people find out about the shows. There is a Facebook group that you can join that my friend Bill runs because I'm not on social media because I'm not a fan. So yeah, people find out about the shows through the email and then they RSVP to reserve a spot and send me a check or send me a Venmo for the donation. And then all that money goes straight to the artist.
Yeah, which is huge. I feel like that's not that common that you hear about a music venue. I know it's at your house, but that you wouldn't be pocketing any of the money for yourself. Why make that move?
Well, I wanted to keep it honest, I guess, only book bands I really love, not just bands that will make me money. So there's no motivation other than the fact that I want to see those bands play.
Yeah. So what kinds of acts do you book?
A lot of it is singer-songwriter type stuff, partly because that's pretty much my favorite kind of music. I mean, I'm a huge Bob Dylan fan. That's my number one. So, I like the singer-songwriter stuff, and it works really well in the space too. I've had a bunch of shows that have drums and bass and everything, and those work too. But I think I tend more to the singer-songwritery stuff because that's what I really like.
Yeah. And I've heard Kiki's characterized as a haven for touring musicians and local artists. How would you describe it?
I mean, definitely people like playing there because everyone who comes to the show is there for the music. There's no other reason for them to be there. They don't know the bartender. They don't, like the drinks there or whatever. So there's no reason for them to come other than to see the music. And so they like that part of it, but also a lot of the bands stay with me. so they don't have to get a hotel after the show. And I most of the time cook dinner for them too. So they get fed, they get a place to stay, and they always make at least enough money to get to the next town.
So you've got to have a lot of friends. Yeah.
Yeah, and they tell their friends.
Yeah. And so you're literally out of the love for the music. You're housing and feeding touring musicians.
Yes, yes.
What are some of your favorite memories of people who have come through and stayed with you?
Oh man, just the fact that it's happening at all. Every show is amazing to me. There was one time when Tommy Keene played, and he's a power pop guy that he's passed away now, unfortunately. But he showed up in a tour bus one time, which was something that I never expected to see in my driveway. But they
off of East Wash?
Yeah. So it turned out the drummer had a friend who had a tour bus and had some time off and wanted to get back into it. So he was driving them around the country. And
Holy
so
smokes.
that's one very, very vivid memory.
Yeah, and I've noticed if you type in Kiki's House of Righteous Music to YouTube, I mean, there's so many live shows that you can actually check out, past shows. People really post a lot from different shows that are happening. I've seen some of my great friends who have played there, as well as many local celebs. But there really is a range of notoriety, people with a range of notoriety who have played there. Who are some of the more famous names you've had through?
To me, it's all relative. I have
Yeah.
I'm a poor judge of what is famous, because people that in my mind, I'm the most impressed with they've played there. It's other people have never heard of them. So it's hard for me to say. But last year I had Joe Pernice from the Pernice Brothers play, which, something I never thought would happen. The year before that, Lou Barlow played. He's the bass player in Dinosaur Jr., which most people have heard of, but he also does his own stuff, which is what I really like. So I've had the Baseball Project play a couple of times, and they're sort of a super group that includes Scott McCoy and Steve Wynn, who some people know, but the other half of the band is Mike Mills and Peter Buck from REM, which everyone's heard of. So that was kind of bizarre the first time those guys showed up. And Scott's
REM, half of REM's in my basement.
Exactly.
That's incredible.
It really is.
And so, I mean, how many shows would you say you host in a given year?
It's usually around, I would say 30, probably about a year. There's years I've done more, years I've done less. I remember somebody asked me one time and I said, I think I did 35 shows last year. And they're like, wow, that's one every 10 days. And I was like, no. Oh, yeah, it is.
Yeah, that's a lot. And since 2007, you said? So
yeah, pretty much nonstop since 2007. Yeah, so this coming weekend, the 19th will be Friday night, is my 399th show. And then on Sunday will be show number 400, which never thought that would happen.
And is that sold out?
It's not. There's still room.
Okay. So that sounds like a really big one. Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
400. That's so special.
Yeah. There'll be cake.
There'll be cake as well. Well, there you go. Yeah, and can you tell us who else is on the roster for this year?
I have 3 more shows yet this month. The 2 I just mentioned, and then the 26th, Jenny Parrott is playing. She's a Boston singer-songwriter. She's been in bands before, but this is going to be a Jenny solo show. I mean, I think she'll have a band with her, but it's not. She was in a band called Loves It, and before that in a band called The Shotgun Party. August, Rosie Flores will be here, and that show is almost full. And then in September, Owen Temple's playing, and in October, Wesley Stace is playing. And that's all I've got confirmed out this year so far.
Who likes spam? Nobody. But did you know you're likely getting more of it because your personal data is being sold? Every day, data brokers collect and sell your personal info to third parties such as your social security number, address, phone numbers, and health and financial records. And then these insights are used by scammers, total strangers, insurance companies, banks, and more to target you. It's time for you to check out Incogni. That's INCOGNI. Incogni only takes 3 minutes to set up, and it scrubs your personal info from the web. It tackles more than 180 data brokers and people search sites, so you can protect your data, your time, and your sanity. Plus, there's a 30-day money-back guarantee. Get Incogni today and never look back. Use code CITYCAST for 55% off the annual plan at incogni.com. That's spelled out INCOGNI.com. Are you doing this by yourself? Do people help you out? Do you have volunteers or staff?
So all of the booking and the reservations and, the advanced stuff, I do all of that. My friend Bill runs the Facebook group, which I mentioned, so I don't have to. And as far as the sound guys, I have a group of about 7 people right now. And every time I have a show, I'm just like, hey, is anybody free for this one? And, they also do it just because they love it. They get fed and they get some beers and they get to see the show for free, but they aren't making any money on it.
Yeah, it's truly just like such a lovely, beautiful experience. I don't know if there's anything like it. And it's also an intimate space. Like, how many people can really fit in your basement?
I do a capacity of 50. I have seating for about 40, and then the last 10 are standing room.
Mm-hmm. And it's spattered with all the sort of like posters around the walls.
So
and the
many posters. Yeah, people are always like, have all these people played here? I'm like, well, about half of them have. The other half are ones I just stole off the walls of bars.
Anything like behind the name? I know that you said you kind of like always thought like if I had a big venue, this is what we'd call it. But is there anything else to that story?
No, not at all. I don't even know where it came from. I think I just like the word righteous.
It's righteous, man.
Right?
It truly is. It truly is super special. And it's on my mind because I was just at the new Gamma Ray bar, which is kind of the re-life or rebirth of the frequency in a little bit of a way. And it's just like it's hard to replicate the sort of community that you can get in these music spaces. And I feel like Madison's music community is really tight knit. You're one of the pillars, you're one of the leaders in our Madison music community. What would you say about that space and because like we have a lot of people who listen who are new to Madison and they don't necessarily know much about our music scene.
Well, I think places like the Gamma Ray are really important now, especially because, the High Noon is now owned by FPC Live. So it's, all the venues in Madison, all the bigger ones are all like a corporate, monopoly right now. So smaller rooms like the Burr Oak and the North Street Cabaret and now Gamma Ray are really important because it's a place that people can play that's not a Live Nation venue.
Mm-hmm. It really is. It is something special. And also, yeah, High Noon, it's different. It's a different vibe. So having
it is. It's the whole getting waved down with the metal detector when you come in and cash free. It all just feels so foreign to the way it was back when Kathy owned it. So it's very different.
Yeah. I feel like asking you if you have any more like standout memories from your time hosting at Kiki's.
There's been quite a few shows where I just wasn't prepared for how amazing it was going to be. Bands where I knew about them, had maybe even seen them before, but when they played in the basement, it was just a mind-blowing show compared to what I was expecting. A couple of years ago, the Eyelids played, and they're the secondary members of a bunch of bands like the Decemberists and Guided by Voices, and they're good friends with Jason Narducci and Scott McCoy. So I totally trusted them. Usually I don't book bands I haven't seen, but when those two guys tell you they're a good band, I'm like, okay, I'm in. And that show was amazing. And everyone was like, wow, I did not expect that. So that happens every once in a while where it's just like, what? Just boom. I can't believe that just happened.
And I feel like the word trust jumped out at me because I feel like you said that you only book bands that you've already seen. You're inviting people into your home. Like this isn't some outside space. Like this is your house. Like what is that like?
I don't worry about stuff, which I think is very important. But I figure everybody who's coming likes the same music I do. So they've got to be cool, right?
Yeah.
That's my logic, at least.
Yes. Yes. And it's such a special space. It would be crazy to impugn it in any sense.
I get the feeling that people feel that way. Like, don't mess with Kiki's sort of thing.
Yeah. If you mess with Kiki's, you're messing with me. Absolutely.
Right.
And you mentioned Bob Dylan, which of course, like, hero. But do you have any like dream artists to come to Kiki's who haven't been?
Well, it's certainly not setting my sights that high.
Oh, Bobby?
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
I always have sort of a wish list of people that I would love to have come play. And I've checked a lot of them off over the years. So most of the stuff I do in the basement, but one night every year, I do curate the lineup for the sessions at McPike Park. And most of the bands who have played, this will be my 6th year doing it. Most of the bands are bands that have played in my house. But this year, my headliner is the Great Lake Swimmers. And definitely having Tony Decker, who's the lead singer of the Great Lake Swimmers, play would be, that's number one on my list right now. So, I'm going to give him a little nudge during the show in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, that's coming up in August.
Yep, August 9th.
I want to come there and be like, go to Kiki's. I went to the last sessions. I was actually helping MC the chicory tent, the smaller tent.
Nice.
And there was some absolutely, like, every single act really blew me away. And one of them, people about had a spiritual awakening. They were from Puerto Rico and they play the cuatro and they broke a string. Like it was a next level, life-changing musical experience in the chicory tent. So I cannot say enough about McPike Park sessions. And it sounds like now we know that you're one of the people putting one of them together.
No, it's been a really nice opportunity to, get a wider audience. After every time I do it, I get a whole bunch more emails. Hey, can you put me on the email list? It's like, never heard about you before till I went to the session. And it's like, cool. So
it's a good way to spread the word. And speaking of your email list, what is the process like of getting a ticket and attending?
So all you have to do is send me an email to get on the email list. And then when I announce shows, then people just reply and say, save me a spot. And that's how it works.
And do you do any? That's it. Amazing. Yep. Do you do any recordings of the live sessions or?
I actually have video of almost every show that I've had in the basement. I have a little video camera at the back of the room, and I always ask the performers before we start if it's okay. And I haven't posted anything from my shows. I don't really know why I have it all, but I like having it. I go back and watch them. I listen to them.
Oh my gosh, you have an archive.
I do have an archive. Somebody asked me about it recently, and I joke that I'm recording it all for the documentary.
Well, your shows are so special. Someday people are going to watch the documentary, but people can go to your shows now. And it sounds like some of your upcoming ones, some of them are getting close to full, but you still have space. So
yep, sure do.
People can send you an email, and it seems like the Facebook is one of the best ways to, like, kind of outside of the mailing list, stay up to date.
Yep. Yes, definitely. And once you get on the Facebook group, then you can also find the email address to send me the email to get on the email list.
Well, Kiki, that's righteous. You are righteous. Thank you for giving us your time today.
You bet. Thank you, Bianca.
Yes, just a pleasure. That's Kiki Schuler, owner and host of Kiki's House of Righteous Music. If you want to check out their Facebook page with details on the upcoming shows, head to our show notes for a link. That's all for today here on CityCast Madison. I'm Bianca Martin. If you enjoyed the show, why not share this episode with the most righteous person you know? And we're not talking self-righteous. All right, we'll be back tomorrow morning with more stories from around the city. Until then, take good care.